Greetings again. In this final third step of setting up your BIMAS account, we will now invite the students to join the platform. Again, there are two steps or two approaches one can take. If you can manually enter a student, and that might be the case if the only reason you are using the BIMAS is to do progress monitoring with a small number of kids. Or if you opt to do universal screening, of course, you will be entering numerous students. Therefore, the import facility might be the best. But in any case, both of these functions are important to know and overview. Here is the final step of creating the BIMAS account, the importing or the creation of the student database. Once we have created the schools in our account for Argos Academies, and then we have imported some of the staff, we are going to be, and let's view a little bit here the staff. I can sort it out by the title. I can see I have an outside person who is going to be helping us in the school with some mental health services. I see the director, the owner of the school, and I also see the principal, 1, 2, 3 for the elementary, middle school, high school. I see a psychologist here and a number of teachers for the elementary, middle school. And if I click here on this, I can also see some of the other staff members. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create or import and build the student database. So the first thing we need to do is of course, we can do the manual entry, but for now, let's do the importing students. So when I click importing students, I come to our familiar site here for the importing. There is the guide here that tells you what needs to go in every one of the fields and also a sample CSV file. I click on the sample CSV file, I can open it, and I can see, for example, that, let's see, I can see the file. It's a CSV file, so our familiar little click in here that will expand the fields. Here is a sample case of a student, and as you can see, I can put all of this information. Some of them is required, some of them is optional. The guide will tell you about these things. Here, as you can see, I have all of this background information, including information about the guardian, first name, last name of the guardian, their email, relationship with the student, and the very, very important field, this one must have the word yes. Otherwise, you will not be able to send emails to the parents if you opt to do the parent rating. In any case, that's the file structure. You can download now the information from your student information database. And in my case here, I have created the file from our system. And the system here is called, the file is called Argos Academies, the first campus. I will include the second campus later on. And what I am going to do is I'm going to make sure to begin with, I'm going to save it on my desktop. I'm going to make sure that when I save it, it is not an Excel file, but it is a CSV file, a comma delimited file. And then I am going to save this on the desktop. And now that I have this on my desktop, I will go back into my file in here and I will press browse. Here is my file. And I seem to have some errors in my file, in my import file. So apparently I have some duplicated information on some of my student files. ID 113437 and 114131. appear to be duplicates out of my system. That's quite typical if your student information system might not have this data. And it also tells me that there are some other information that I'm missing on line 105 and so forth. So I will figure out what this is all about. So that is something that it might happen, and the system will be able to give you some kind of a feedback. So I'm gonna go and look for 11, 34, 37. Oh, there it is. I have two students, Julian and Gus, with the same information. Pretend now that this is a correction here that I can make, and this was really an 8 instead of a 7. I'm making the little correction in here. Remember, all of these are hypothetical data. And now I'm going to see if I can find it again. I can't find it anymore, so I'm going to close from here. I'm going to save my file, and it looks like it's treating line 05 as a file with data. So I'm going to go and delete this and save it one more time. Then I will go back into my import. I'm gonna close browse. And now the file has been fixed and it is valid. And I have 103 students ready to be imported. I press import file. Depending on the size of the file, this might take a while, but for 103, it should not be that long. There it is, success. We have added 103 new students in our file. I typically do not import more than 4,000 files at the same time, so that I won't be taxing the processor of the platform, but if you need more than that coming up at the same time, then you need to be in touch with us so we can figure out a better, more efficient solution for you. Anyhow, so now we can go into the student file. We can say view all students, and here now we have all 100 and such students that we have entered into the platform. This is how you import students through the import file. If you would like to add students manually, all you will have to do is click add a student, and now the student information will appear. You'll be able to put the first name, the last name, the student ID, their email if you have it. For example, if you're planning to do 12-year-olds and older, you will need an email address to communicate the form with the student. You can put here any of the schools that are into your account, the grade level, the cohort, also who the students are. Of course, to see the universal assessment teachers, you really need to be including first the building. So once I include the building, then this field is telling me who are the people that are assigned to this particular building right now, that you can appoint them as universal screening individuals. Down here are some other information, some background information, the MTSS. For example, one client wanted to have 4 tiers, so we honored that earlier into the development of the BIMAS, but most people use tier 1, 2, and 3. And then we have some information here. If you would like to add manually a parent, this is the place where you need to put the person's first name, last name, relationship to the student. Here is a generic one that you should be using also in your import file, because some school systems do not have that specificity like we have it in here. And also don't forget to put the yes that the person has legal custody, and make sure that the email is correct. So you save the student, and now the student manually has been entered into the field. And that's how you import students in the BIMAS.